Alright, so this is what I'm going to show you how to make. This Afghan little blanket. It's all in Tunisian crochet. So except for the border. This is Tunisian. And then that's the border. You're going to do that all the way around. It's really simple. There's nothing to this. If you know how to do the Tunisian stitch, that's all we're going to do is make little squares and then we sew them together in the pattern that I have over here. So yeah, that's about it. As I said, it's very easy if you just know how to do your Tunisian crocheting, and I'll show you how to do that. Then you can make your squares and put them together. So yeah, let's get started. This Red Heart yarn. This is a Red Heart with Love, but you can use the big Red Heart yarn as well. It doesn't really matter. You can actually use any yarn, but if you're following me for the size, you'll have to use this one. And it is, let's just see, this color is Peacock. So I used the Peacock in this. It's a size 4, so it's a pretty average yarn, so that's why I say you could use any one. But this is Peacock. I used the Peacock, I used the Bluebell. This is a Bluebell color, and I used the plain black. So yeah, and this is an 8mm Tunisian crochet hook. Now you can use a straight one. I'm just using this because I have a crochet set that has attachments to it, so therefore I'm using this. But just get yourself a straight Tunisian hook. And yeah, and you want to have a row counter. It's probably best to use a row counter just to know how many rows you're doing, because we are going to cast on 28 stitches and then we do 22 rows. We do 21 and then we cast off on row 22. So it's very quick. It's a quick project. You can whip it up pretty quickly. It's just making little squares. This is what the one square looks like. I actually made an extra one, which is, I don't know why I made extra one in this color, but anyway, it's just a little square like this, which is done in your Tunisian crochet. And yeah, we're just going to do a bunch. So let's get started. Alright, so to get started, I like to keep a nice long piece of yarn which I can use to sew mine up with. So I'm just going to leave a long piece and then start over here. Now you're just going to start off with your slip knot, and we're going to cast on 28. So you start off by chaining, and you're going to chain 28. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you start off by just chaining your 28 stitches. Now what I do, that's not going to be counted as a row. Now I'm going to count row 1, and you can put this onto row 1. Now you're going to be keeping all of these stitches on your Tunisian hook now. So this is where it differs from your regular crocheting. Now you're not going to go into that first one, but you're going to go into this one over here. So that very first one, you're not going in there, but right over here. And this is going to, you're just going to do that. Okay, that's number 1, number 2, sorry, number 3. Now what I do, because you know, often I'm talking or I'm doing something, I count mine in 5s. So I know that I need to have 5s and I need to end off with 3 at the end. So if I just keep counting 5 and now count another 5, another 5, I must just end off with 3. Then I know I've got my 28 stitches. I like to kind of count because sometimes you miss a stitch. So when it comes to the Tunisian, I kind of count. Now if I had a long, big one, maybe I wouldn't. But this is just to help you. So I know that I need 4 of these 5s and a 3 at the end. So that's 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's all that you're doing. So for the first row, you're just going in each one. So you go in there, pull up a yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's all we're doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now where this gets a little bit different is right at the end, that very last stitch. I'll have to show you where you go in with that one. Okay, that was 5, and then I should have 3 left. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's now, that is the first row. Now, when you're doing Tunisian, 1 row there and 1 row back is considered 1 row. Okay, so put my marker on 1, and I did this one. Now I'm coming back, and that's still going to be 1. Don't change it now to 2. Now when you come back, the very first one, you wrap your yarn around and you go through your stitch, only through 1 for the first one. Now you can go through 2. All the rest you're going to go through 2. So wrap your yarn around and go through 2. Go through 2. It's just that very first one you go through 1, and all the rest we're just going through 2. And then this is row 1 finished. So as long as you remember, each row has 2 rows to it, going there and coming back, and that's all that you do. That's why I said this is really quick and easy. It's a nice Tunisian blanket, very quick, and just whip up these things. The only thing is you have to sew the squares together, but that doesn't really bother me, so it's up to you. Okay, go through 2 and go through 2. Okay, that was row 1. Now we're going to do row 2. Alright, so now for row 2, we're going to go there and come back. So now these are the these little loops here. This is what you're going to be working in. And remember, you're keeping them all your stitches on for this row. So you come in there, you bring up the loop, and you bring your stitch through. There's the next one. Go in there and bring your loop through. Go in there, bring your loop through. You can see they're pretty easy to see. If you've gone very tight or in your darker work, it's going to be a little harder to see. You know, I'm working on a black one, and the black is a little harder to see where those stitches are, but they are still there, right over there. It's kind of like you've got this rounded stitch. Let me show you with a lighter color. This is a stitch. If you can see, that is actually a stitch over here, and you're going in the middle of it. Okay, you can see there's a stitch, and you're going in the middle of that stitch. It's just this little loop here, but if you really look at it, it's got a piece there and there, and you go in the center. But yeah, you're really just catching this loop like that. That's what the stitch looks like. And then bring your yarn over and bring it through, and that's all you're doing. So 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and 1 2 3 4 5. Now you want to kind of keep your tension equal for all your squares, because it gets a little bit uneven on the sides when we sew it together if they're not more or less the same size. So in other words, don't make the one super loose and the other one very tight, because when you sew them, and I'll show you when you sew them up why. It's not the end of the world if you do, but try and keep your tension more or less the same size. Just make sure I am right here. 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and I should have 3 left. 1 2. Now this end one is where it gets a little interesting. Okay, so I've gone through those loops. Now, it looks like there's nothing here. It looks like there's nothing here. But you're kind of going a little below this to where you have these 2 end pieces. And you want to catch these 2 over here. Okay, so it's not this here. This is, it's kind of at the bottom of where this one is. You can see there's your 2 little strands. I'll show you on another one too. You want to catch these 2, but there must be a thread underneath it. I'll do another one for you, and then I'll show you that end stitch. Okay, so now to remember your first one, you take 1 off and you go through 2 and then go through 2. As I said, I'll show you that end stitch again if you just keep watching the video. I just need to do another row to get there. Yeah, and then you just yarn over and go through 2, go through 2. And that's all that you do. So if you're not too sure, watch this part again so you can see what your 2 rows look like. And yeah, yarn over and come through too. That's about as easy as it gets. So I'm now going to do 21 rows. And remember, your row is going there and coming back, that's 1. That's considered 1. So this now that I've just done with you is the second one. Okay, and that's all that we're going to be doing. Okay, so now you change and we're going to row 3 now. This is going to be row 3. You don't go in that one. This is the first one that you're going to go in. So right over there. And keeping all your stitches on your hook. Okay, so I'm going to just do this row and then I'll come back and I'll show you this end part again. Alright, so now here my last little setup is. There you can see you've got 1 more stitch to do. If you keep counting with your 5, you know you've got 3 to do. That was 1, 2, and then the last one over there. Now, let's see if I can show you. Once I've shown you this, I'll show you one more way that you can do it, but it's a little bit longer to do it that way. But I'm going to show you now. You can see here, I'm not wanting this one here. I'm wanting this on the side, the one just below. So these 2 pieces here, these 2 threads here, this is what I'm wanting. And you'll see there's a part left up there. Okay, so it's kind of just below. It's not, you know, you'd think that you want to come in here. It's not there. It's just below. So it's kind of at the bottom of where this is here. You'll see there's a stitch and it's these 2. You got to come, it's not, there's like 3 little strands. You're not coming in this center part here. That's not what you want. It's just these 2, and then there should be a piece that you're coming inside. You see that? There's a little piece there. That's what you would do. Okay, but if that's a little harder for you, I'll show you one more way that you can do this where you will get it right. So just keep watching and I'll show you now. Alright, so I want to show you now if you're really struggling with this very last stitch. Now it is important to get it right because you want to have the same formation all the way up on the side here. So what you do is get yourself a safety pin. Now, because I know where this is now, and once you've got your safety pin, you can do this right from the beginning. So you wrap your yarn around. That's the stitch, and over here. Okay, so put it in there, wrap your yarn around and go under that. And then catch it. And then you can go through the 1 and through your 2. Okay, and there you'll see you have your 2 stitches, and then when you come back, that's where you're going to go in. Okay, I'll do it with you one more time. I'll come back and I'll do it with you one more time. Okay, so now I've got my last 3 stitches here. 1, 2, and then my 3. Okay, so I'm going to go in there. 1, 2. Okay, and now you can see, that's what I was saying, you're not going into this one. Now you can see where you need to go into. Exactly where you had put your safety pin. You go into there. Bring up a loop, and then you can take it off. And that will help. It's just a little bit more time consuming because you're using your safety pin. But you put it on once again. Wrap your yarn around. Go into your stitch. Oops, go into your stitch. And then where you've wrapped it around. So it's here and behind the wrapped part. And you can do that. Now I do have a video up that shows you how to do Tunisian stitch, which will be in the little box below. And if you're really struggling, you could watch that. But that's as simple as it gets. Alright, so now you can go ahead, do your rows. When I come to the end of my square, I'll show you how to end it off. And then you can just go ahead and make a bunch of your squares. So I'll meet you back now once I've done this square. Alright, now once you've done your 21 rows, you are now starting row 22. This is how you're going to finish off your work. You're going to cast off, so, or bind off. You're going to go into your stitch and then you're going to work it and go through both. Go into this one, bring your yarn through, and then bring your yarn through both. So we're just binding off all of these stitches, one in there, yarn over, through and through both. Okay, and then you have your little square completed. So you can go ahead and do the rest of your squares, and then I'm going to show you how to sew them together. So in there, like you usually do, yarn over, bring through, and then yarn over and bring through these two. Okay, and do that all the way to the end. When you get to the very last one, you'll just lift it up, bring your yarn through and cut it off. Okay, so you'll just do that at the last stitch, bring this through and then cut it off. Okay, so go ahead and do that, make all your squares, and I will meet you and show you how to sew them together. Okay, so I'm going to be sewing my motif, my square in here, in between all of these three. Now, make sure that you're sewing the top part, this is where I ended off, onto either a beginning or ending of one of these. Okay, you don't want to get it the wrong, so you don't want to do the side of your square onto there, because then you're going to have your Afghan, your squares all wrong. So just be sure that you do have your ending off on a beginning or the beginning on an ending. So your square is like this. Now, as I said, I left extra yarn so that I can sew with this. Don't worry if it's a different color, you're not going to have the same color on each. So now I'm going to be sewing this one on here and on there, and then this one on, sewing it on there, down the side and down the side. Now, so I'm going to start off on the top here. So I'm going to flip this over so you have your two right sides together. Okay, and then I'm going to sew it over here first. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, so you're going to come with your yarn and you're going to sew it from that side onto this side. Okay, and your wrong side should be facing. Now, if you have a look, you can kind of see where each stitch is. I can see that was a stitch there and this was a stitch. Now, whether you use one or two, and then you just bring your yarn through. So from this one onto this side. Now, the only thing that you really have to be careful of is that you're going to end at the same spot. So you don't want to use more of the one side than the other. So you could put something to hold that there, and then just keep checking to be sure. You can kind of line your stitches up. I can see that one joins on that one. So you can just have a look and see, and then just keep sewing from the one side to the other. So now I'm going to go with there and come over here. As long as it looks neat, there's not a major set way to do this. And yeah, you're just sewing the one side onto the other side. And like I said, just keep checking that. And you can look on the other side if it looks good, and mine looks fine. You can't really see where it's been sewn. So just keep checking that this is the same. Now, if you did the one a little looser than the other, it might end up being a little longer than the other one, but just keep checking your sides. And if the one side's a little longer, you can, if this one has got more, then you can, instead of coming right over here, go a little further and bring it in closer this one. It'll bunch it up just a touch. Don't do it too much, because else you're going to have a bit of a bunch. But yeah, all you're going to do is just sew like that from one side to the other and pull it through. And when I've done this side, I'm going to sew it on to this one. So when I'm done with this, I've got to sew it down the side there. Same thing, I'm going to just flip it over. So I'm working on the wrong side, and the right side will look nice. Because you always want to sew on the two wrong sides together. Okay, and that's all that you do to sew your squares together. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see how to do our border. Alright, so once you've completed sewing all your squares together, we're going to crochet regularly around the border. Make a slip knot. I'm using this dark blue, and this is the not the side, this is the bottom part, so this is where you would have started or ended off your square. You're going to come to the corner and you can see there's a stitch, there, there. You can see all your stitches. Okay, so you're going to go into this very first stitch over here, and you're just going to slip stitch in there. Then you're going to chain 3. So just slip stitch in there, chain 3. And then you're going to do a double crochet in the very same space, same stitch. So you've got 2 doubles there. The chain 3 stands as a double. And then you're just going to do 1 double in each of these stitches. You can see them right over there. Just do 1 double crochet in each stitch. I'm going to do that when I get to the end of this black one. I'll meet you again. So just do 1 double in each stitch. Alright, so when you get to the end, you'll go into this last one over here. Let me just show you. You'll go into this last one over here. Now, what we're doing is for each square, you want 27 double crochets. So from here to there, you need 27 double crochets, except for your beginning one. You had an extra one here, which would give you 28. But you'd have to work it out. So when you start in this first one over here and then count, so that you'll end in the last one and have 27. So as long as you've got your 27, you're okay. Then when you come to the end, with this end one, you're going to do 2 in the last one. So this last square, this side will have 28. And then when you turn around, you're going to do 2 in the first one. So it's just your corners that we're doing an extra one in each, or for each side. We're doing an extra one here and an extra one here. Okay, so as I say, 27 plus 1 extra, 28. 1 extra gives this side. Alright, now once you've come to the end here, you have your, from this side of the square, remember you're doing 27 stitches each square. This is number 27 over here. Now you've got to do an extra 1 for the end of this square. That makes it 28, okay? Then we're going to start this side, and we're going to do, now we're going to do another one for the corner in here, and then we're going to start off with number 1. Okay, so don't get confused. Maybe I should just say you're just putting 4 in the corner. You're really just putting your 4 in here. This is the last stitch, 1 extra, 1 extra, and then that would be your first stitch. Okay, so that's number 1. Now coming down the side, yeah, this is where we did the rows. So you're going to do 22 in each square. Okay, so that was number 1. And you can just follow where your row is. You can see over there. That will be number 2. The next one is right over there. Number 3. Number 4. I'll show you, and number 5. I'll show you when I get on to this lighter color. It will be easier for you to see than the black, but you can see your little rows. Let me show you here. You can see there's a row there. That's where you would be going in. Okay, so that's all you're going to do. As I say, this is, you want 22 for each square going down. And then same thing when you turn the corner here, you just have to have your last one in the corner. So your last one would be in there, and extra one, an extra one, and then the number 1, all in that same one. So 4 in there, and then you can just go around. Now once I've gone all the way around, I'll meet you back here and we'll do the next row. Okay, so when you've come to the end, you've done your extra stitch for your corner, just slip stitch into this very first stitch over here, like that. Okay, so you should have 4 for your corners, 1 for each side and 1 extra for each side. Okay, now we're going to start with the next row, and okay, so once you've joined them together, you should have your 4 in your corner. Those are the 2 extra ones. We're just going to do another set of 4. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, which is going to stand for 1. And then I'm going to go in the same place, so right over here. Okay, that gives me 1, 2, and I'm going to do another 2 in here. 1, 2. So you just want 4 double crochets in your corners for all of them. Now you might have made a mistake somewhere and not have the exact amount of stitches. Don't worry about it, just work with the stitches that you have, because basically what we're going to be doing now is we're going to do a picot over here. So 1, 2, 3, and then you do a single in these 2 stitches here. So we're going to be doing picots and doubles. Now I'm going to be doing this one and this one together. So in that first chain space after your doubles in the corner, you just do so much of your double, yarn over and come into the next one, and this is doing 2 doubles together. Okay, and then you're going to do a picot, 1, 2, 3 chain and a single. It's really in this bottom chain, but I go into these 2 here with a single, yarn over, then we're going to be working these 2 together. And do that and go through those, and then I'm going to do another picot, 1, 2, 3 chain. Then you can do a single in this first chain, or you just grab these 2 over here and do a single. Okay, yarn over, then we're doing these, the next 2. Don't go in the same one, be careful of that. Yarn over through 2, yarn over, go into the next space, bring up a loop and through 2, and then through all 3. That's doing 2 double crochets together. And then your picot again, 1, 2, 3, and a single in the bottom. Okay, yarn over, do half of your double, yarn over in the next chain space, go through 2, and then you go through all 3 and a picot, 1, 2, 3, and a single in there. Okay, so let me do it with you one more time. Yarn over, go into the next chain space, bring up a loop and go through 2. That's the first double crochet. Yarn over, next chain space, bring up a loop. It's not a chain space, just the next stitch. Go through 2, and then you go through all 3. That's doing 2 together, and then a picot, 1, 2, 3, and a single crochet in the bottom of those 2. And you should be looking like this. Okay, and that's all that you're going to do. You're going to do this all the way to your corner. When I get to my first corner, I'll meet you here, and we're just going to do 4 doubles in here to turn us around as well. So I'm going to do that and I'll meet you back now. Okay, so when you get to your corner, now depending on where you end over here, if you have mine's working out great because I'm going to be using 1, 2 stitches here, and then I'm going to do a picot. But say you only had 1 left, let's say you only had the 1 left and then you had these over here. It's okay, whichever way, work your last 2. 1, mine's going in here. If yours, as I say, if yours didn't go into those 2, work into this one. It's okay. We're just going to be sure that we have 4 to go around our corner. So let me just do this one. 1, 2, 3, and then my picot. Now because mine is panned out like this, I can just go ahead and do 4. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do 2 in here. It doesn't matter whether you do 2 there and 2 there, or 3 and 1. You know, depends on where you've ended. But the bottom line is you want to do 4 doubles. But after 2, you're going to do a picot. Just to keep this little bit here, because where we started, we did 1 picot. Do 2 and then do a picot. If you want to do more of these picots, you can. You don't have to do it exact. This is very free form. So I did 2. Now I'm going to do another 2. I'm going to do another 1 in here. 1 and 1 in this end one, and then I'm going to do another picot. 1 2 3 4 3. I'll show you what it looks like now, and a picot in here. Okay, so you've got your 4, 1 2. I just did a picot after that one, 1 2 and another picot, just to keep them kind of going. And when we end off, I'll do another picot with my end one. When I join onto this one, I'll do another picot right at the beginning. So anyway, so just do that, make sure you got your 4, then you can keep going with what you were doing. So there's my next one, double, and a double in the next together. Those two together, and a picot. 1 2 3 and a picot. So just work with your corners as you go around. Just work with them. Just be sure that you do make 4 to go around. Now this slot's going to pull in a little bit because we have slightly less double crochets, but it'll be fine. The one side's a little puffier than the other side. But yeah, so keep doing that when you get your corner. Make sure that you have your 4 there, and I will meet you right at the end when we get to the beginning again. So keep going with that. Okay, here's an example of ending with, I ended over there. Now I'm sitting with, here are the 2, here's my corner, 1 2 3 4. Or I could do those 4. Okay. But either way, I'm going to have to be working in one of these. So I'm going to just go in here, 1, and I'll go in there 2, and I'll do my picot, 1 2 3. But I do know that I do have to do 4 for this corner. So now I can either do 1 in here with 2 in there and another one there, or 3 in here and maybe 1 in there, or all 4 in here. Let's see, you can just play it by ear, you know, 1 2. Okay, so you can do 2 in there in your center, then your picot, 1 2 3, and then I'll just do another 2 in the same place. I'll just do another 2 in there, 1 2, and then you can do another picot. It just keeps your little picots going. 1 2 3. So there's no set rule here, just play by ear. Just do yours as you feel is best, and then I'll work these. So yeah, and then you can see it, just my corners nice and round with picots. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back now. Okay, once you've come all the way around, I've done my last 2 here. Remember, I've still got 2 to do in the center here, so I'm going to do 2, 1 2, and then I'm going to make a picot, 1 2 3, go in the first one, and then I'm just going to slip stitch here into this one, and I'm going to make another picot. Okay, and then I'm just going to stop here. If you feel you need another picot over there, I should have done one, you can just slip stitch across and then make one. 1 2 3, and single crochet. I'm just going to go in this first one here, and a single crochet in that first stitch right over there, and then you can just finish off. I'll just slip stitch in there. Then I've got another picot there. Depends if you want another one there or not. And then you should be finished with your border. So you can just cut your yarn off and then sew all of these yarns in that you have. Sew all of these in, and then your blanket will be finished. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in my next lesson.